Hi yogis, welcome to Core Yoga. We'll begin today's practice by lying supine on our backs with our feet planted firmly in the mat. We'll begin with some pranayama or breath of life to center ourselves in the space around us and begin our practice with some mindful intention. So place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Seal your lips and begin to observe your natural breath. Observe where the breath flows in your body and how long each inhale and every exhale lingers for. Now we will explore the three-part breath. On your next inhale, mindfully send your breath to fill up your stomach, and then a little bit more to expand your rib cage, and finally into your chest. Hold at the top, and then exhale, release the air from your chest, rib cage, and lastly, contract your abdomen and let every ounce of air out of your lungs. And keep breathing in this manner, bringing air into your belly, rib cage, and chest, and letting it out, chest, rib cage, abdomen. Take one more round of breath here. When you are ready, you can release your hands by your side and let your breathing return to normal. We'll begin to warm up our spine by taking some pelvic tilts. So keep your hips planted firmly on the mat and focus on lifting just your low back off the mat and then replacing it back down. So almost like a cat-cow, inhale, arch your spine, and then exhale, really try to plant your low back into the mat. Inhale, expand your rib cage. Exhale, make a connection low back to the mat. You can keep flowing with your breath for a few more rounds here. Really working to warm up the spine and connect breath to movement. On your next exhale, keep your low back connected to the mat and really try to engage your lower abs by pushing your low back into the earth. If you try to slide your fingertips between your mat and low back, you shouldn't be able to get them underneath. This is the position we want when we're doing supine core work. Just feel that for a few seconds as you breathe into it. And then we'll find reverse tabletop by stacking our knees over our hips and begin to tap one toe at a time onto the mat, just warming up the lower core here. After you tap, just return the leg into the reverse tabletop position. Tap it out 4 more on each side. Move at your own pace. and stay connected with your breath. Once you're finished, return your feet to the mat and begin to windshield wiper your legs from side to side. Return to neutral and then find the back of your thighs with your hands and begin to rock and roll the length of your spine. Once you've built up enough momentum, rock your way up into a seated position. Coming into a comfortable, easy seat, inhale your shoulders up and down your spine. Finding a long, straight back. Inhale the arms high. Exhale, bring hands to heart center. Close your eyes. Breathe. Inhale, arms come back overhead. Exhale, left hand connects with the mat. Right arm reaches overhead. For a side body stretch, you can come down to your forearm here or stay up and lifted on your palm. Whatever feels best for you, you just want to make sure that both of your sit bones are planted firmly on the mat. Your next inhale, rise back up to seated mountain, and exhale, take it over to the other side. Left arm reaches overhead, taking your variation of this side body stretch. Inhale, rise back up. We'll take a seated twist here. On your exhale, reach your right arm across your body and left arm kickstands behind you. Keeping a straight spine here. Inhale, rise back to center. Exhale, twist the opposite way. Inhale, seated mountain. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Flutter your eyelids closed. And just listen to the quietness within as you take a few breaths here. Bring your gaze back to the room around you. And transition into tabletop pose here, stacking shoulders directly over wrists, hips over knees. We'll take some pelvic circles, going nice and slow towards the left, setting the hips around and back. Moving extra slow here. And then we'll take one in the opposite direction. Moving the hips towards the right, all the way back to the heels. Back around to neutral. I'll do the same thing, but go ahead and flip your wrists so that your fingertips are facing towards your body. And again, moving the hips towards the left, nice and slow. Feeling the stretch in your wrists. And then again in the opposite direction, our final circle here. And we'll meet back in a neutral tabletop. You can go ahead and place your fingertips to face the front of your mat. Tuck your toes. Meet me in a tabletop hover, lifting your knees a few inches above the ground. Begin to work the core. Go ahead and drive one knee into your chest, replace the foot, and then the other. Keep moving in this manner, driving your knees towards your chest, and then replacing them back into that tabletop hover position. Working our core here, firing it up for our class, only a few more. And then hold that tabletop hover for one breath, and then push it back, downward facing dog. Go ahead and pedal out your knees. Maybe sway the hips from side to side. Take whatever organic movements feel good to you right now. This is your time to warm up your body. Dive into your hamstrings, your calves, whatever you need. Just a few more breaths here. Meet back in neutral, downward facing dog when you're ready. And your inhale, you'll roll through each vertebrae of your spine, creating a wave-like motion until you get to plank pose. Stacking shoulders over wrists and shooting those heels to the back of the room. You should be creating one long line with your body. And your exhale, send it back to downward dog. We'll repeat this motion, making a wave in your body and taking you into plank. And then your exhale will bring you back into downward facing dog. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, roll forward through your spine. Exhale, send the hips high and back. Last one. Inhale, plank pose. And hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Send it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your feet towards your hands, forward fold. You can go ahead and take ragdoll, keeping a generous bend in your knees. Reach for opposite elbows and let your torso sway from side to side. Be sure to let your head and neck hang heavy. Now release your hands. Staying in forward fold, go ahead and clasp them in a bind behind your low back. And then reach your hands overhead towards the front of the room. We'll be taking this bind a lot throughout class today. It's a chest opener, chest expansion. Go ahead and release it. And then slowly bring your way up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Head and neck should come up last. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Exhale, hands to heart center, flutter your eyes closed. Again, exploring that stillness within, just for a few breaths here. Breathe in, sweep the arms high. Cactus arms, exhale, open the heart to the sky. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find a flat spine, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step your feet back into plank, and we'll flow through a vinyasa. If this is not for you, just go ahead and push back into downward facing dog. Or you can inhale onto your tiptoes, exhale to lower halfway, inhale to upward facing dog, and then exhale, we'll meet in downward facing dog. So take those if you like them, leave them if you don't. It's up to you, it's your body. Inhale, send your right heel up to the sky, three-legged dog. And then exhale, step it through in between your hands. Drop the back knee, untuck those toes, and sweep up into Anjaneyasana, kneeling crescent. Try to bring your left hip forward and your right hip back in order to square your hips off to the front of your mat. Squeeze your glutes here to really dive into your hip flexor. Tuck your back toes. Inhale, rise up, rise off that back knee, coming into high crescent. Keeping those hips square to the front, really squeezing those glutes. As you are ready, you can step that back foot in. We're going to make our way into pyramid pose. So step it in as much as you need. Back toes out from the body at a 45-degree angle. Inhale to find a flat spine. And exhale to fold over your front leg, coming into pyramid. You can take a slight bend in your front knee if that feels good for you. Tuck your chin towards your chest and keep breathing in and out through your nose. Begin to rebend that front knee and step that left foot back into low lunge. Drop your knee. And then kick your back heel towards your glute as you reach around with both hands for the quad stretch. You can always leave one hand planted and reach with one, or omit the quad stretch altogether. Holding here for another breath. Release the back foot, plant your hands, and step back through plank. Flow through your vinyasa or meet in down dog. Inhale, left heel sweeps high, three-legged dog. Exhale, step foot in between your hands. Drop the back knee. Inhale, sweep up, Anjaneyasana. Squaring those hips off. Keeping a long straight spine as your fingertips shoot towards the sky. Maintain the same position with your upper body as you tuck your back toes and lift your back knee off the earth. High crescent. Step the back foot in, toes pointed out from the body. Find a flat back as you lean over that front leg, folding from the hips. Release into pyramid pose. Again, taking a slight bend in the front knee if that's what feels good for you today. Refine the bend in your front knee and step back into low lunge. Drop the back knee. And if you'd like, find the quad stretch on this side. Drawing that heel in towards your glute. And breathing into your quad. sending oxygen and blood there. When you are ready, release your foot. Plant your hands and move through your vinyasa flow. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg sweeps high. Exhale, step it through low lunge. This time, we'll rise straight up into crescent lunge. Inhale, sweep your arms high. Finding that strong crescent pose, engaging all the muscles in our lower body. And then stepping that back foot into warrior one position this time. Toes are pointed out just like they were in pyramid pose. Square off your hips, adjust your stance as needed to get your hips square. You can take your foot a little bit wider. And then exhale, find a bind behind your low back, just like we did in that forward fold. Inhale, puff up the chest. And then exhale, fold forward, coming into humble warrior. Tucking your right shoulder in to connect with the inner portion of your right knee. Bowing the head forward and surrendering to this pose. Inhale, rise back up and step that back foot in to a lunge position. Keeping the arms the same, we'll launch off the back leg, coming into warrior three with a bind. Immediately begin to transition into toppling tree as you lean your torso towards your thigh, arms shooting towards the front of the room. And when you hit your edge, release your hands, coming into standing splits. Just here for a breath. Step back into low lunge, back into plank, and hold here. We'll tap it out, hand to shoulder. Take 4 each side. Keep nice and stable in your hips. And once you've done that, you can move through your vinyasa flow or meet in down dog. Keeping that core engaged, we'll work it throughout this entire class. Take that same flow on the left leg. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, step it through, low lunge. Inhale, crescent lunge. And hold. Exhale, step that back foot in, finding warrior one. Square off those hips to the front of the room. And then again, releasing your hands to your low back, finding a clasp. Inhale, send your heart to the sky. Exhale, bow down, humble warrior. Inhale, rise back up, maintaining that bind with your hands behind the low back. Adjust your stance into a lunge. And then launch off your back leg, coming into warrior three. Just as a transition pose here. Begin to move your torso towards your thighs. Hands drop towards the front of your mat. When you've hit your edge, standing splits. And then step it back and move through plank pose. We're going to hold here and then tap out your feet this time from side to side. Working our core here in plank. It works of both the front, the back and the sides of your core. Keep tapping it out. One more each direction and flow. We will meet in downward facing dog. Go ahead and make your way down onto your back, stepping through to a seat, and then slowly lowering all the way down onto your mat. Once you've made your way onto your back, we'll just take those legs into that reverse tabletop position again, really focusing on keeping the low back connected with the mat, engaging those lower abs the entire time. And this time we'll tap our heels to the earth, beginning on tapping them right directly under where they hover, and then each time tapping a little bit further from the body until your legs are fully extended. Once you've tapped them as far as they can go, begin to tap them back in towards the starting position. Each time replacing your knee above your hip. Once you've made your way back, we'll just take that same series twice more, tapping the heels away from the body and then back towards the body. Continue to breathe naturally throughout. And focus on keeping that lower back connected with the mat as you do this exercise. Take your last one here. Once you've finished your third series of heel taps, take your legs up the wall, bringing your feet as if you're planting them on the ceiling, and then we'll take 8 toe taps, reaching your fingertips for the outsides of each foot, diagonal across your body, and then one leg lower. If the leg lower doesn't feel good for you, just take a double heel tap. And now we'll move on to 6 toe touches, crank them out right here. Followed by a leg drop, of course, you know what it is. Now 4 toe touches, working the core here. And a leg lower. Nice and slow, really feel the burn. And then 2, this is your final sequence, followed by a leg drop and back up the wall. Go ahead and plant your feet back onto your mat. And we'll take some penguin taps, reaching for the outer heels with our fingertips, trying to make a connection, maybe even reaching for our toes. As we waddle like a penguin from side to side, keeping our shoulders lifted off the mat. Working our obliques here. And take 4 more in each direction. And then release onto your mat. Extend your legs and roll over onto your stomach, coming into a Sphinx pose on your forearms to give the full core a stretch here. Breathe into your abdomen. And then release your cheek to the mat, whichever cheek you choose to start off with. Arms resting by the side. Belly down Shavasana just for a short moment here. And then we'll begin to work the back of the core, because in order to have a strong core, you must work all sides of your core. Go ahead and extend your arms out in front of you, bringing your forehead to the mat now. Inhale, lift your hands and chest off the mat for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower back down to the earth, bringing the opposite cheek to the mat and letting your arms rest by your side. Notice your heartbeat against the earth. Notice the warmth in your breath. Notice how good it feels to surrender. Inhale, come back to center with your head, bringing the hands out in front of you one more time. This time we'll lift feet and hands off the earth. Go ahead for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower back down. Again on the starting cheek, releasing into belly down Shavasana. Bring your forehead back to center. Final chance to find that bind behind your low back or stay in Superman. And then inhale, lift your chest and legs off the earth again for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower back down. Final opportunity for belly down Shavasana to release whatever tension you've built up in your body and send it into the earth. Slowly begin to make your way back into downward facing dog. Inhale your right heel high, 3-legged dog. Exhale, we'll find pigeon, so parallel your shin to the top of the mat. Check that your left leg is going straight back behind you, and then release and put your pigeon to rest, whatever that may look like for you. You can fold over your front leg or stay lifted up onto your hands. Inhale, rise back up into 3-legged dog. Exhale, take a hip opener, bringing that heel towards your glute. And then replace that foot back to the earth. Inhale, swap it out. Left leg comes high. Parallel it to the top of your mat. Check the right leg is straight back behind you. And then put your pigeon to rest. Noticing that it may feel different on this side than it did the other. And that is okay. Inhale, 3-legged dog. Send that leg back up. Find a hip opener. And then make your way down onto your back once more. And find happy baby, reaching for the outsides of your shins or feet, drawing your knees towards the mat, and massaging your low back as you rock from side to side. Feel free to straighten into one leg and the other. Take whatever movements feel good to you. As you feel ready, hug your knees into your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees. Bringing all the energy in your body together, and then exhale, release, coming into Shavasana, letting that energy flow through you. You may feel lighter as you lay here. You may feel a tingling sensation run up from your fingers all the way to your shoulders. Just observe whatever you feel in this moment without trying to change anything. Continue to observe whatever feelings, thoughts, or emotions arise in your body in this next minute, without judgment, without trying to change anything. Just bringing it to your attention and then letting it go. You may choose to stay here in Shavasana for as long as you need. Or you may choose to bring movement back into your fingers and toes and end class with me today. Thank you for joining me for this core yoga flow. I had a ton of fun and I hope that you did too. Namaste.